Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're activating the time circuits and jumping straight to right now, February 2026.
Futures now, I guess.
Right. And we're looking at the Cardano ecosystem. And frankly, the vibe has really shifted. I mean, for years, the knock on this project was that it was just this theoretical academic science paper that never really shipped anything.
Yeah, the academic ghost chain.
Exactly. But looking at this stack of reports from early 2026, that science project has completely morphed into a functional digital nation state, all while everyone else was just watching the price charts.
It really is a massive pivot. And the core tension we're seeing in these sources is pretty fascinating. On one side, you have the, move fast and break things crowd, competitors like Ethereum and Solana.
Like sprinters.
Right. And on the other, you have Cardano's measure twice, cut once philosophy. So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out if that slow, methodical grind actually paid off here in 2026.
Or if that ghost chain insult still actually holds weight. So let's unpack the engine first, because the sources keep highlighting this EUTXO model. Now, I know Ethereum uses an account-based model, which is basically how a normal bank ledger works, global state updates. But EUTXO seems totally different.
It is entirely different. The best analogy here is physical cash versus a debit card. With a debit card like Ethereum, you swipe, and the bank has to check your balance against everyone else's transactions globally to see if it clears. It's a sequential process.
Okay.
But UTXO is like handing someone a $20 bill. You have the bill in your pocket. You don't need to check with the bank to know you can spend it.
And that's where this concept of determinism comes in, right? Because I hold the cash, I know exactly what the transaction will cost and if it will actually succeed before I ever hit submit.
Precisely. For the user, it completely eliminates that lost fee anxiety.
Oh man, I hate that. Paying $50 for a swap, the network congests, the transaction fails.
And you still lose your money. Exactly. In Cardano's model, that's just impossible. It either happens exactly as predicted locally, or it doesn't cost you a dime.
Which is amazing for reliability, but the trade-off was always speed. That brings us to the Basho era mentioned in the notes. They're talking about Ouroboros Laos as the fix for scaling. Now, this isn't just making the blocks bigger, is it?
No, it's a total structural redesign. Think of a blockchain node like a chef in a kitchen. Traditionally, that chef has to chop the vegetables, cook the meal, and plate it all in order. It bottlenecks.
Right.
Laos decouples this. It splits the process up into input blocks, endorsement blocks, and ranking blocks.
So it's specialization. One group handles the data prep-like gathering transactions, and another group handles the security and ordering.
Exactly. By separating the data throughput from the consensus mechanism, they're pushing throughput to between 100 and 1,000 plus transactions per second. Yeah, it lets them rival the speeds of high-performance chains without sacrificing the decentralized security that is their whole trademark.
Speaking of features, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Midnight. This privacy sidechain sounds like an absolute corporate dream, specifically the battery recharge model. It seems like they finally solved the volatility problem for businesses.
It's one of the smartest economic models in the stack. It's a dual token system. You have Night HT, which is the governance token, and DUST, which acts as the fuel.
Right, because if I'm a hospital dealing with hyper data, I can't have my operating costs double just because a crypto bull market suddenly started.
Exactly. With Midnight, you hold the battery, the nighttime token, and it automatically generates DUST over time. You use that DET to pay your fees. It turns blockchain fees into a predictable capital expense rather than a volatile variable one. It's literally built for balance sheets.
And speaking of balance sheets, we have to talk about Voltaire. This governance structure is wild. They didn't just write some code, they actually ratified a constitution.
Version 2.4, ratified in January 2026. This is really where the nation-state label comes from. It's a tripartite government, delegated representatives, stake pool operators, and a constitutional committee.
And they are managing a $1.7 billion treasury. I mean, this isn't just voting on Discord emojis. This is a decentralized organization allocating a massive R&D budget without a CEO.
It's arguably the largest experiment in decentralized human coordination ever run.
Okay, but we do have to provide a reality check here. The sources admit the ghost chain narrative hasn't fully vanished. The total value locked is still lower than ETH or SOL. The whole Degen casino culture just isn't there.
No, it isn't. And that's the strategic divergence. If you want to flip meme coins, you go elsewhere. But look at the institutional validation. The sources highlight the CME Group launching ADA futures in February 2026.
Which is a heavy hitter. The CME doesn't list garbage.
Right. And you have Grant Thornton doing on-chain audits. This is Wall Street saying, okay, this asset class is mature. It's less about retail hype and more about corporate reliability.
So what does this all mean? It feels like the gamble was be boring, be reliable, be secure.
And hope that eventually the world values never breaking over moving fast.
It leaves us with a final provocative thought for you listening. In a digital economy that feels increasingly fragile, where hacks and outages are just normal now, is boring actually the ultimate feature? Do you want a system that sprints or one that guarantees the engine never stalls? Thanks for diving in with us.